The country has moved on marijuana and the legalization of marijuana and some other drugs over the past few years, but has Ben Carson moved with the country? Let's find out.
Do you continue the war on drugs?
Absolutely.
You do?
I intensify it.
Let me ask you a question. It doesn't seem to be working now.
Yeah, well, go down to the border in Arizona like I was a few weeks ago. I mean, it's an open highway. And the federal government isn't doing anything to stop it.
Okay.
There's a couple things wrong there. I'm going to say again, the sweater is one thing that's wrong with that, and the shirt. It's good that you covered up the shirt with the sweater, but then you got to cover up the sweater with something else.
How cold is it in Glenn Beck?
I don't know.
Man.
Turn
down the air conditioning, buddy.
Yeah, they broadcast from Pluto, actually.
Yeah. Jesus, cut the guy a break. It's like
Or cut the AC, save some energy. They're just doing it to harm the environment at this point.
Yeah, it'd be nice if he lit a fire.
Right in the middle.
Like he just did the show and he was like, so, what are you going to do about the war on drugs?
Yeah, having his mic isn't old school enough. Now he's going to have like a half dog, half wolf in the studio and a fire. But look, thank you for bringing that back up because they look ridiculous. So I got a couple of problems with Ben Carson's thing. First, the way that he said I'd accelerate it, it almost sounded like he felt like he was being challenged. And so he just came up with this policy to not seem weak. But to say that you're going to accelerate it when it so clearly is bad for America, horrendous for Mexico, and completely ineffective, and there's so many benefits that we've seen in states that have legalized marijuana. First, you are incredibly out of step with not just libs, not just Democrats, but we saw it was 58% of the country at large wants marijuana legalized nationally. And amongst the young, it's something like 71% of 18 to 35. So you're gonna lose on that issue.
And we have bipartisan agreement, amazingly, on prison reform too.
Yeah.
So we got too many people in prison, not just because the prisons can't handle them, but because it's bad for the country. It's doing a serious stint in prison wrecks your life, wrecks your earning potential, wrecks your family.
Hurts the economy for those reasons.
Hurts the economy, but mostly hurts those people and hurts the people who that person, because they're usually men, have to care for, or will, hopefully have to care for. So not that women can't provide, please. Not what I'm saying. So please.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, well,
that's what I heard you say.
And he's going to turn back the clock on. So that's what I was saying earlier. You were talking. He's every bit as crazy as Donald Trump. He is not as boisterous. He seems more likable.
Yeah.
But Donald Trump isn't saying things like, I don't think a Muslim can be president.
He's saying maybe we need to get rid of all of them. I think you're right. I need to stop saying that he's crazier than Ben Carson. It's not. He's more arrogant, he's more annoying, he's more frustrating, but not specifically crazier. Yeah, especially because Ben Carson's craziness seems to be driven by an extremely genuine faith.
Like Donald Trump wouldn't not raise the debt limit. I mean, Donald Trump does understand the value of needing to borrow money.
Yeah.
Lord knows
That's
Donald
true.
Trump
That's
gets
true.
that. So, I mean, from an economic point of view, Ben Carson is worse and much worse. And on the other stuff, like all he hasn't said has what Ben Carson said is as insulting to Muslims as Trump was to Mexicans. I would say yes, just as bad. It's just that one group is a coveted voting bloc, so it became a big story, and the other nobody cares about.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's any difference at all. And the thing yesterday that you guys ran yesterday was the most galling that anybody said that I'd turn the Department of Education into federal.
Big brother.
I mean, first of all, for people allegedly worried about keeping the government small, that you're going to turn federal agents loose in schools to spy on schools and make sure they're not too extreme in their agenda. Jesus, that's hideous. That's almost the worst thing that's been said by a Republican in this cycle. And that's
worse than destroying the Department of Education.
It is worse than destroying the Department of Education. So Ben Carson, I mean, I got it. If my brother and I ever find ourselves conjoined after a meal, I'm coming to you, but for nothing else.
Yeah. I don't like saying this, but you're right. I would say I do think that Donald Trump's tax plan is worse for the economy than Ben Carson's at this point. But
Isn't
perhaps
Ben Carson a 14% flat tax on everything?
Yeah, I've seen analyses that say that the end result of the non-flat Trump tax would be lower taxes for the wealthy than that flat tax. But maybe we'll find out more when Ben Carson reveals more.
Again, they're both disasters.
They're both, yes, exactly. Now, on the drug front, I want politicians to stop this thing where if they go to the border, then they're experts on the border.
fuck
Or
off.
if they visit Afghanistan for a day, they're experts on Afghanistan. Jimmy Dore has been to Afghanistan. I don't think that he's an expert for that reason. They seem to think that if their boot touched sand, then they are an expert in
It
military
is
policy. or
exactly
immigration
the
policy.
same as saying I flew to Atlanta, so the next time I got in a plane, I banged on the cockpit door and said, "You're coming in too hot." You know?
That's awesome. Yes.
Come on, man.
No, that is totally the case, and I don't think that he is well read or learned on the topic of the drug war and the damage that it's done to various communities in the country at large, let alone other countries. And I don't think it's an issue that he can win on. I think that he needs to massively change his position there.